Is MINA going to the price of $30 during this point still my price target? Yes, even though that's not financial advice, the reason being is because even though the price of MINA hasn't been doing the best along with a bunch of other altcoins, I still believe in its future because I think MINA is very unique. And let me explain why. Because when we take a look at, other blockchains, right? I think many people like to say, oh, this one's amazing. But sometimes it kind of feels like they're pretty much the same and they're, not really any different in a sense, right? In a broad sense. However, when I take a look at MINA, it does have a very unique selling point. And what is that? It's the fact that when you take a look at MINA, it allegedly is the world's lightest blockchain. Now, people may be thinking, okay, what does lightest quote unquote even mean? Now, here's where things get special because while most other blockchains out there have an increasing size of around 300 gigabytes, MINA is 22 kilobytes. I mean, again, I'm just going to say that 22 kilobytes as opposed to many of its competitors increasing a size of around 300 gigabytes. So that right there is very fantastic in my opinion. I mean, I get it, right? Some people may consider MINA not being the best or the greatest or anything like that. But in my opinion, it does have a very unique selling point here. It's like, for instance, when we take a look at, there's a MacBook Pro, right? But then there's also something called the MacBook Air. MacBook Pro isn't bad and MacBook Air isn't bad either, right? They have a unique selling point. And Air, it's efficient, it's light, it's very portable, at least from my perspective, because I do have a MacBook Air myself. But even besides that point, I just don't want to get the MacBook Pro anymore. I used to in the past, but that's just not my style anymore. I want something light, efficient, minimalistic. And that's what I think of something like MINA is. If I were to put an analogy on it in real life, I would consider it like the MacBook Air when it comes to, laptops, right? Of course, Apple laptops, but I'm just saying. So when I take a look at MINA, it's not like it's a bad blockchain by any means. I think it's very fantastic. It's just different. But I do like that. And in the world of cryptocurrencies, that's what really matters in most cases, right? People like something that's unique. They like something that's interesting. In some cases, they don't really care about the adoption. In some cases, they don't really care about, is it better than this or that? Oftentimes, being unique, being interesting, being different is a very big selling point, right? At least theoretically, in terms of having that attention. Not necessarily saying anyone has to buy MINA. I can't tell anyone to buy, right? I can only speak on my behalf, but I'm just saying. Theoretically, when I take a look at MINA, it's a very special project, and that's why I believe in it so much. Again, it has a very unique, concept when it comes to it. Now, let's not forget, right? We take a look at also when it comes to MINA, allegedly, the key to the MINA protocol is something called ZK SNARK, which, by the way, stands for, catch this, right? Zero knowledge, succinct, non-interactive argument of knowledge. I mean, wow. But even besides that, that's the key to it. So I guess I have to mention it. But even besides that, when we take a look at this computing concept right here, right? Again, ZK SNARK, this right here was allegedly developed by Silvio Micali. Now, Silvio Micali is an Italian computer scientist who is, keep in mind, the founder of Algorand, which is a very amazing layer one blockchain in its own right. When I take a look at Algorand, very fantastic. Silvio Micali, he seems like a genius to me at least. And when I take a look at MINA, again, the key to it allegedly being, ZK SNARK, I don't like that. I find that very, very interesting. Now, keep in mind, when we take a look at MINA, right, we'll see that, for instance, it's also focused on something called data privacy, or more specifically, end-to-end data privacy. Now, people may be thinking, okay, who cares about this? Well, it's actually pretty good because if you take a look at it, this means that users can access critical on-chain services without compromising sensitive personal information. And I think that right there is key because nowadays people do value privacy, and this right here is a good concept, I guess, when it comes to MINA. Keep in mind, right? For instance, what is the use case of this? Let's say individuals can, again, connect to a credit score provider to prove that their credit score is above a certain threshold. So it's really awesome, again, being able to do that with a credit score. That's really wonderful. So when I take a look at something like MINA, man, it's so unique, it's so interesting, and sometimes people don't think it's that powerful in a sense because they consider it to be the world's lightest blockchain. But again, it's more so trying to have the angle of being efficient, being minimalistic. That's the way you take a look at it. Like, for instance, right, when I get a MacBook Air, I'm totally aware of the fact that it might not be as powerful as the MacBook Pro, but I don't care. I use MacBook Pro for years, right? Ever since I got a laptop, it was a MacBook Pro, but I just want something different. And MINA just really, again, reminds me of a MacBook Air. But even besides that, when I take a look at MINA going to the price of $30, why is it not that crazy, at least in my opinion? It's because if it were to go to that price, considering current circulating supply, market cap would be around $36.5 billion, which I get is currently around 150 next from here. So it may seem a little bit crazy. However, in my opinion, when I break this down, I don't think it's that crazy, at least for me, because if it were to go to that price, again, considering current circulating supply, market cap would be around $36.5 billion, which is around $50 billion less than Dogecoin's all-time high market cap back in 2021. So this was years ago, right? Keep in mind. And keep in mind as well, back in 2021, there was roughly around 300 million crypto owners. Now we have over 600 million, according to Crypto.com research. That's more than ever before in history, practically double when compared to back then. I think this born could be a lot more special, and I don't see why not when it comes to something like MINA being that amazing, right? And also this born hypothetically being that fantastic as well. Let's also take this into consideration. Even Charles Hoskinson, who not only is the co-founder of Ethereum, but the founder of Cardano, even he predicts that, based on a video that he was a part of back in November last year, in the next 1 or 2 years from then, he said that he could very well see Bitcoin reaching anywhere between $250,000 all the way up to $500,000. I mean, let's just let that sink in. So that's best case scenario timeline a year from November of last year. So that's actually around November this year. I mean, wow. And really, again, this kind of fits in line with when usually altcoins peak as a worst case scenario, which is around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event, which based off the last Bitcoin halving event that happened back in April of last year, that would actually mean around October this year. Now, of course, that's for altcoins, right? Historically, at least, as a worst case when they usually peak. And of course, Charles is talking about, Bitcoin, not altcoins. But again, if Bitcoin were to even, let's say, go to the price of 250,000 or maybe even beyond, right? Could you imagine what happens to the altcoin space? I'm not saying every single altcoin is going to do well, but I'm just saying something like MINA, I don't see why it won't go along with the ride. I'm still very bullish on the crypto space overall. And I get it, sometimes people can feel impatient. They're like, oh man, things are taking too long, all this type of stuff. Well, personally for me, I'm going to stay patient because I'm holding anyways. So anytime I acquire income, I'm acquiring, holding, and just waiting. That's it. Nothing fancy, right? I just acquire my favorite projects, hold, and again, I just wait. It's just basically a waiting game at this point. It is what it is. Personally for me, the way to take a look at it is that I can only control things that I can control, right? I don't have a magic, wand or something like that to try to control when prices go up. What I can do is control again what I can control, which is acquiring, holding, and just waiting. I believe that the future is still very bright and I'm not going to give up. And again, the idea of MINA hypothetically going to the price of $30 during this bull, that right there wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. Really appreciate it. It's only the captain and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.